Yeah, I think that's it. What the fuck's MSI Afterburner? What happened? I ran a test and it had to restart so it can test the overclock. It can test the overclock on the CPU. Ran fine. Let me check how many frames I get. Wait, first let me check my fucking CPU temperature. ~50 degrees Celsius. 34 Celsius GPU. Alright. Run at startup. Alright, bet. Minimize test bar so system tray. Sorry, I had to turn my hacks on. Alright. See how it is now. Streaming quality? What does this mean, streaming quality? Is this for you? Nah, I'll just put that shit low. I have a TI overclock edition, so it should be overclocking. I'm gonna go downtown. god, I can see so much better. Old PC, I could barely see anything. Shit. Filters? Nah, I don't think I'm with filters. People recommend 720. I'll just put 720. I was watching a bunch of videos and shit. I'm recording right now at 720p, 5500 bitrate. 6000 is the max recommended. Alright, this building's the real test. Dude, I'm still not getting the amount of frames I should be getting. Like, my shit not overclocking or what? What's going on? Goddamn, I guess I gotta up this shit, huh? Oh shit, I thought something happened. Scared the shit out of me. Is this straight?
Extract is standing by.
Blue means I enabled it, right? Should I lock it? Like, it allows locking. And get a little bit more. Hold on, let me see something.
What is up, guys? It's Troy at the Full Setup, back with another video for you, and today I'm in these videos is firstly on there as well, B550 Plus, and I've seen people comment it as well. Follow this step in previous stitching to get down here to kill the process up afterburner. Now there are a few other bits as well which are fine to get you. First thing I always do before I overclock is actually set my pizza socket. So I don't really want all that fan speed. As you can hear that. So that's afterwards, and you know, do some GPU sort of cards that are going to have super beefy coolers on them with loads of power delivery. Not getting that bit after the once, it's great. So that should be your core frequency, okay? And I'm going to talk a little bit as well about, setting some different ones with profiles in a second. Now, the next one's memory. This is actually super easy. So this GDDR, I went on settings just to have a look.
Wait,
That
what?
did increase revenue a bit as well, and obviously save some power consumption. But that's about it, really. That's everything that you need to do. Now, down here, you want to be able to save it, okay? So you click save and you select a profile.
All right, guys. Now we are.
Shut up. Show me what to do.
Still going. This card is very well memory. 1400. Boom, black screen, it crashed. This card is very well memory. 1400. Boom, black screen, it crashed.
Enemy
So now you
UAV
just wanna
overhead.
wait until it comes back, and then you hit reset. Okay, now we know that's. I don't know if it's gonna be by those.
Wait, what? Why is this 50 and...
Okay, and this is gonna be it. This is our overclocked card. As you can see, it's going at around.
This guy, bro. Like this? I love burger cut. Like this? 200? Uh-oh. 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 Okay, so wait, what was it? What did I put before it crashed? Okay, I put 240. So I'll put 210. I'll put 210. What's the? Let me see. I want to check something. Okay. What's the max memory I can use? Wait, what? Alright, this should be straight. Like, close the software? PC gonna explode. Now that right there, that would suck. Alright, let's test it out again. Swap me over downtown, please.
Grab some target practice while you can. We'll deploy them.
Mutex graphic settings. I know for sure he has a shit ton of fucking frames.
Warm up done. Time to
The
kick
graphic
this off.
settings and Nvidia filter settings for Warzone as I've made changes depending on what you're going to do. Some streamers do that so they can tab out and it doesn't like specific to whatever you're doing. So 30 frames. You can do a custom frame, everything pretty much kind of normal. If I did, well, I don't perfect of that as normal. You can go different as purple light, but if you just want to make the frames, yes, DLSS. Depending on what setting will make sense for your individual resolution. Obviously, there's not a lot of people playing at 8K or 4K, but those of you who are out there, you might want to experiment with this to see if you can get more frames. They did have an issue where there was misaligned sights where the bullets weren't actually going where the optic was, but Raven has already released an update saying that this has already been fixed. So depending on your setup, it might be worth giving a try. Anti-aliasing, I have that on just because I like my game to look clean. I know a lot of people chase frames, they turn that off. Completely up to you. Depth of field, world, motion blur.
Enemy UAV overhead.
Bro.
Primary targets are marked. Extract is standing by.
Still says my GPU's at 12%. Bro, what the fuck?
Enemy dropping into the AO. Enemy soldier incoming. Enemy UAV overhead.
Only at 30%.
Enemy UAV overhead. Enemy drone away.
Is it 'cause my RAM?
Enemy drone away.
No, it's not. I don't get it, bro. Damn, bro. Fuck off. Fucking plunder people are so weird.
Enemy UAV overhead.
Dumbass. The fuck is really trying to win and plunder?
Enemy UAV over. Enemy UAV overhead. Hostile attack chopper carrying out.
Bro. I don't get this shit. Warzone Max free. Warzone. Insane boost. We'll see about that. How the fuck do I... How to put night mode on? How to put night mode on? Here? There it is. There we go, so much better. It's already high, bro. Hurry on. I don't fucking have that shit. Fuck. Oh, here it is. Tripping. I don't fucking know, dude. I should be getting like way more fucking frames. saved a video before. Where is it at? Is it this one? I think it was this guy.
But for whatever reason, after I finished everything and overclocked down below. Alright, so the first one we're going to look at is the actual gaming settings within Windows. Game bar, acceleration, putting on the game at high priority. I would highlight it for you. Making the game an administrator is fairly easy. Just hit the gear icon on the Blizzard settings, go to Show and Explore, click on Modern Warfare, find it again, click on Modern Warfare again, go to Properties, go to Compatibility. On the third line, it should say Run this program as an administrator, hit Apply and hit OK. On the third line, it should click on the gear icon on the Blizzard settings, go to Show and Explore, click on Modern Warfare, find it again, click on Modern Warfare again, go to Properties, go to Compatibility. On the third line, it should say Run this program as an administrator, hit Apply and hit OK. Run the program should run as an administrator. Moving on to the power plan. Search bar, hit power plan, it should pop up, change advanced power plan option, find power plan power management, click on that, simply tap maximum processor state. Now you can put it to 100 or 99, but it's not really going to do anything to your system, it's going to be fine. Simply just hit apply and OK and you should be done with that. Moving on to the Geforce experience, this one's going to be a little tricky if you are using, but it's not really going to do anything to your system, it's going to be fine. Simply just hit apply and OK and you should be done with that. Moving on to the Geforce experience, this one's going to be a little tricky if you are using the overlays to change the colors of the game or the filters, or you are using this to record, you're going to have to leave it on, but if you do want maximum performance, turn this off, you're going to gain about 10 to 15 more FPS. Nvidia control panel, you're going to have three little bubbles there, the one we're going to focus on is in the middle, and then you're going to go to your left-hand side, so let's say manage 3D settings. This is basically we're going to be focusing around the whole part. A lot of them are very self-explanatory, but I'll go through it really slowly through there just in case you actually just want to copy them tit for tat. But a lot of them basically come down to if it is applying settings contradictory to the system or the game, so it's basically saying it overrides it, you just want to turn it on. And a lot of them are going to say quality or performance, just read on through them and slap everything for performance. So the easiest way basically to set it up, just look through everything, read it. If it says it's overriding something in the game or the system, turn it off. If it's saying it's adding something like sharpening, stuff like that, yet again, turn it off. And then look through them all. If it says quality or performance, just slap everything to performance. And then once you do that, just hit apply at the bottom, and that should save it for you, and you should be good to go. Moving on to something else, just hit the scroll down window up there on the Blizzard settings, go to game settings, hit again Modern Warfare, you should find additional command line arguments. Now for me, putting D3, D11 gave me more performance than just leaving the game alone. Yet again, I don't know if this actually does change it to DirectX 11, but for whatever reason, after I finished everything, I go to game settings. Again, Modern Warfare, you should find additional command line arguments. Now, for me, putting D3, D11 gave me more performance than just leaving the game alone. Yet again, I don't know if this actually does change it to DirectX 11. But for whatever reason, after I finished everything and overclocks, this gave me more performance. Maybe revisit it after you've done other things too. And also, when you do change the render worker count, be aware you're probably going to have to jump back in there and tick that from back. So if you have sun shadows, I stayed around there for a bit. It's time to switch that out back and forth. Moving on to the sun shadows, I stayed around there for a bit. It stabilized about 190 FPS. Me just turning it off. It's going to drop FPS, and I don't know why it does this weird black screen, but when it comes back, we lost about 15. Going to drop FPS, and I don't know why it does this weird black FPS. Me just moving on to the sun shadows, I stayed around there for a bit. It stabilized about 190 FPS. Me just turning it off. It's going to drop FPS, and I don't know why it does this weird black screen, but with me just turning it off. Sun shadows, I stayed around there for a bit. It stabilized about 190.
Primary sector marked. Extract is standing by.
Oh shit. Yo. Hey, that guy was right. I'm getting way more frames. 140 compared to like 120.
FPS, me just turning it off, it's going to drop FPS, hit it stabilize, test that out back and forth. Moving on to the sun shadows, I stayed around there for a bit. It's stabilized about 190 FPS, me just turning it off. It's going to drop FPS, and I don't know why it does this weird black screen, but when it comes back, we lost about 15. So yet again, you can just simply jump into a match, drop down to an area around this tower, turn it on and off to see if you actually do get FPS from it. If you have been taking it off, start leaving it on. Yet again, I don't know if this is just associated with this area, but it'd just be safe to leave it on if you do have the actual video memory to
Hey, that guy's the GOAT.
actually put it on. Moving on to the player folders, pretty easy to find. Just hit documents, you should find Modern Warfare, you should see player, and then advanced options. Now on the video memory scale, I've adjusted this all the way up to 0.5 all the way to 1. So it took me a while just to even do all that, and that really didn't do a whole lot. The thing that I actually did was the render count. Now I started from 8, made my way all the way to 16. My CPU has 16 cores. Me running it at 16 gave me worse performance. 8 was fairly good, 9 was a little better, and then 10 was the magic sweet spot for me. So you're gonna have to play around with that, jump around matches back and back, and just keep changing this. But trust me, for whatever reason, it does actually do that. If you are gonna do it, set it to half and then start it jumping in increments from that. That way you're able to sit there and see if it actually is some kind of bug or performance within that. So to recap, the render worker count is really what you're gonna have to be messing with. So find the amount of cores your CPU has, cut that in half, and then put it on the render worker.
Enemy UAV overhead.
Count your see render work and actually half. Know if this is just associated, put it on. See, moving on to the player folders, pretty easy to find. Just hit document, video memory to actually put it on. Moving on to the player folders, pretty easy to find. Just hit documents, you should find Modern Warfare, you should see player, and then advanced options. Now on the video memory scale, I've adjusted this all the way up to 0.5 all the way to 1. So it took me a while just to even do all that, and that really didn't do a whole lot. The thing that I actually did was the render count. Now I started from 8, made my way all the way to 16. My CPU has 16 cores. Me running it at 16 gave me worse performance. 8 was fairly good, 9 was a little better, and then 10 was the magic sweet spot for me. So you're gonna have to play around with that, jump around matches back and back, and just keep changing this. But trust me, for whatever reason, it does actually do that. If you are gonna do it, set it to half and then start it jumping in increments from that. That way you're able to sit there and see if it actually is some kind of bug or performance within that. So to recap, the render worker count is really what you're gonna have to be messing with. So find the amount of cores your CPU has, cut that in half, and then put it on the render worker count, and then gradually just start increasing that by 1 until you reach the number of cores your CPU actually has. Yet again, for me, that sweet spot was 10. I can't put it to 16. I lose about 20-30 FPS around the whole game. So mess around with that. Yet again, put it to half, raise it up by 1, and then you're gonna have to be jumping into matches and leaving out. But in order to save it, just go to files and then just hit save, and then it should be saved on there for you so you can test out. Yet again, just jump in and jump out and then just monitor that FPS to see which one's the best for you. Alright, moving on to the GPU overclocking. Now, this is admittedly a double-edged sword because the game doesn't play nice with GPU overclocks. Now there are overclocks within the GeForce experience. go over there, tap the experimental features. You should be able to Alt-Z, you'll see something that says performance, and you just scroll on over to where it says GPU, and then it automatically does it for you. But that one in particular, just for whatever reason, just makes me lose FPS. I have to go to MSI Afterburner and actually apply it through there in order to get an increase in its performance. Now it might be kind of intimidating.
Hostiles dropping into the area. Watch the skies.
Bro, did they nerf amp? Why is it take forever to switch weapons? What?
Playtime's over, mate. You're going to the war zone.
My game crash? Dude, I got a diver. Bro, I didn't even fucking save.
Intimidating to kind of come over here and do some of these things, but this part isn't particularly hard. All you're basically trying to do is the easiest way to explain this is just get MSI Afterburner, download it, get MSI Combustor, download that, and then on the MSI Afterburner, just crank your power limit and your temperatures all the way up. You're not doing anything crazy, you're not going to kill anything. I have my set fan speed about 75. You can crank it up a little higher if you're comfortable with it just being obnoxiously loud, but 75 seems to work for me. Now, I'm going to sit there and explain to you how to sit there and actually increase this little by little, and this is going to take some time. Now, this is where the combustor is going to come into play. You want to go down to your core clock, maybe start increasing it by 10 or 20 at a time. I did 10 through it all, and you're going to want to keep increasing that while that combustor is running until it just crashes on you, and then just dial it back by like 10. So on the combustor, just mainly click on that top line. It says stress test. Drop down 1. That one seems to be pretty good. And then leave the resolution at about 720. Don't bump it up all too high because it's just not going to post sometimes. And then just hit run test. Now while this is running, you can actually just keep increasing it little by little. I'd recommend letting it run for like a minute. So this is probably going to take you a while. And then just keep increasing it by like increments of 10 or 15. And then as soon as it crashes, so I'm going to try to make it crash here, dial it back by like 10. And you're going to redo the same process on your memory clock. Just keep increasing it by 10. Let it sit there for a while. Increase it by 10. Let it sit there for a while. See right there, it crashed once I increased it all the way to 210. That's why I mainly have it sitting at 100. Doesn't crash on me there. Runs pretty stable and in-game. Now, the same thing you're going to redo, rinse and repeat with the memory clock. Just go up by 10. If it's stable, go up by 10. If it's stable, as soon as it crashes, drop it down by 10, you should be stable. Now, doing this, you're going to open yourself up to DirectX errors, mainly 6068 within Warzone. Like I said before, the game doesn't play too well with overclocks. So if this is happening, yet again, open up MSI Afterburner, go to the core clock, and just start taking 10 away from it every single time until those errors just disappear. More than likely, that's the actual cause of it, or anything that's pinging your GPU, but most of the time it's associated with the core clock, so you just dialing that back will get rid of all those errors once you come across them. Now, once you get it stable, to actually save the actual profile, you'll see a little disc down there. Just click on that. All the numbers on the right side should light up. That's basically the profile. Click on just one, whichever one you want. Hit the check mark and it's going to apply it for you. And then at the very top of it, you're going to see a little Windows icon. That's just basically, it's basically going to start the overclock when you start your computer. So if you do want to have that on, just click on that instead of having to open up MSI Afterburner every single time. So we'll do a slower down recap yet again. When you have MSI Afterburner, you're going to see this little K after you've downloaded MSI Combustor. In order just to activate the combustor, just hit that little K and it should just pop up to the left of it. Now power limit and temperature, just slide that over to the maximum. It's not going to do anything to your hardware. It's going to be fine. And the fan speed, I would recommend keeping it over 70. Keep your cooling down. Now admittedly, it's going to start getting louder and louder. It just depends on how much you can tolerate that sound. But overall, keeping temperatures down is more important than that. Now, remember this is going to take you a while, so just jump that core clock by 10 every single time. Go to the combustor, click down the drop down box, just go down by one. That one should be nice and stable. Leave the resolution at 720.
Close out Warzone.
Don't bother jumping it up to 1080. It's just going to have some weird crash bugs associated with it, and then just click on run. And now what you're basically going to be doing is going to that core clock, increase by 10, let it sit there for a minute, increase by 10, let it sit there for a minute until that combustor just crashes. And then scale that back by 10. Do the exact same thing for the memory clock. And then once you're done, hit that little disc down there to save the profile. Numbers should light up. Click on one, whichever one you want. Hit the check mark. Saves your profile. Windows keys up there just in case you want to start it instead of having to restart the MSI Afterburner every single time. Alright, so on this one I had to record it on my phone, so sorry for the glare. Now, on a majority of motherboards, there should be a safe BIOS option. So there is a way to overclock your RAM and your CPU without you having to go into the advanced options if it is too intimidating, because it is a learning process and you can actually break stuff if you're in there messing around with the voltages too much. Now on the RAM, there should be an option on AMD motherboards, or I think it just depends on the motherboard in general. It's called DOCP. That's mainly for your RAM. I'd recommend 3600 for Ryzen. I mean, I can get mine running at like 3800 megahertz, CL1615, but it's just not platform stable. Me dropping it down to 3600 CL14 made the game run way smoother than it was prior to that. And there also should be on that option, there should be a safe option to overclock your CPU. Now, as you saw earlier on there, it was like the ASUS overdrive or whatever it was. It just mainly a click, you move it to left or right. I think it's the optimizer. That does it for you. So if it is too much of a process going into the actual advanced options, having to tweak everything, I'd recommend you just use the safe options. And yet again, just look for your motherboard. It should tell you at the top once you're in the BIOS. CL14 made the game run way smoother than it was prior to that. And there also should be on made the game, but it's just not platform stable. Me dropping it down to 36 CL16. I mean, I can get mine running at like 3800 megahertz, CL1615, but it's just not platform stable. Me dropping it down to 3600 CL14 made the game run way smoother than it was prior to that. And there also should be on that option, there should be a safe option to overclock your CPU. Now, as you saw earlier on there, it was like the ASUS overdrive or whatever it was. It just mainly a click, you move it to left or right. I think it's the optimizer. That does it for you. So if it is too much of a process going into the actual advanced options, having to tweak everything, I'd recommend you just use the safe options. And yet again, just look